everyone, so today I'm here with a review of Oblivion by Anthony Horowitz. Okay, so Oblivion is the fifth and final book in the Power of Five series, or the Gatekeepers series, whatever it's called. It's a series about a group of 5 teenagers who are gatekeepers, and they protect these magical gates that keep the old ones, who are like sort of demon type things. They keep them trapped, and if the gates were to open and the old ones were to escape, the 5 would have to come together from all over the world to be able to fight them and save the world, basically. I'm going to try and make this review as spoiler free as I possibly can. It might be slightly hard and I might accidentally list up a few spoilers, but I'm going to try my best not to spoil anything. Okay, so in this book there's 10 different parts. Each part we get to learn about a different character. So the first part is called The Village, and we get to hear from Jamie, who's one of the gatekeepers, and Jamie shows up in a village in England and he realises that he is 10 years into the future. He also realises that the 5 are wanted criminals, and it's basically, that's what the old ones have done, so the 5 can be captured and killed or tortured or whatever, so that they can't shut the gates. The village Jamie's in is attacked and he has to try and escape. The next part of the book is called Endgame the Conference, and it's basically a conference with Nightrise, who are the company that the old ones have taken over, and it's basically a conference with all the workers from all over the world that have been kept alive until now, and they tell them they're going to turn them into half human, half machine, mutant monster things so they can fight with them in the war. So that's what you get for siding with evil. The next part is called Blood and Sand, and we meet Scarlet, who's another one of the gatekeepers, and Richard, who was Matt's friend, and he's been separated from Matt, and him and Scarlet turn up in Egypt and they're attacked by people from the Nightrise Corporation and some monster things. Then they're rescued by a group of Nexus people, and they're like the good guys, they're working on the good side, and they find out that they have to make their way to Dubai to try and get a plane to Antarctica, which is where Oblivion is, which is the place of the final showdown between the old ones and the 5. The next part is called The Tree, and this is where we meet Pedro and Scott, who are 2 gatekeepers. Scott is Jamie's twin brother. Scott and Jamie were separated in the last book, and Scott's became extremely bitter about that. He's not particularly fond of Pedro. He doesn't like that Pedro's there. He just doesn't like Pedro there at all. He doesn't like Matt for separating him and Jamie. Scott was always the most malleable one out of a lot of them. He was the easiest one to manipulate, and the old ones managed to get to him again, and I think they slightly torture him, and he sides with the old ones, and Pedro, not realising this, makes his escape from where he's been held captive, and it turns out they're in Italy, and he has to try and make his way to Rome to find the magical door in Rome, which is like a door that only the gatekeepers can use, and there are doors throughout the rest of the world in religious places, and the doors can come out anywhere in the world, but if you tell them where to go, they'll take you exactly where you want to go. So Pedro's making his way there so that he can use the magical door to take him to Oblivion in Antarctica. The next part is Matt. So obviously we meet Matt, and Matt is with Lohan, who is Scarlet's sort of bodyguard, protector type guy, even though he's really like a criminal and murderer and whatever. They came out in Brazil, and the only way to survive was to sell Matt to slave camps and then come and rescue him and keep the money, but they were caught on to, and both of them were captured and taken as slaves. Next part is called Wheel of Fortune, and we're back with Scarlet and Richard, who are on their way to Dubai, and when they get there they're trying to find a plane to get to Antarctica. Scarlet and Richard kind of get messed up in a lot of stuff while they're there, but I'm not going to mention it because I think it will just spoil that part of the book, but there was a lot of really great stuff in that part. The next part is called Legacy 600, and we're back with Matt and Lohan, and they are working as slaves, and they plan to steal a plane from the airfield that is very, very close to where they are being held to fly all the way to Antarctica. The next part is called Dark Water, and we're back with Jamie in England, and Jamie is making his way towards London with two other people, the Traveller and Holly, and they're attacked by the Old One's army, and they're also attacked by another group of humans, and they eventually make it to one of the Nexus safe hideout places, and they manage to survive. The second last part is called The Good Priest, and we're back with Pedro, who's found his way to Rome, and Pedro encounters a lot of difficulties trying to get to the door, mainly one that well, almost could have stopped him getting there at all, and he is trying to get help to find this door in the Vatican City, I think. And now we have the last part, which is called Oblivion. This is where the final showdown takes place between the Five and the Old Ones. The Five all make it to Oblivion, and unfortunately there are a couple of casualties along the way, and it's very, 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 very sad, but such a fantastic ending. The full fight scenes in the final chapter were spectacular. I was so drawn in at the end, and I just couldn't put this book down until I'd finished the full thing. I'm not going to go through about what I liked about every character, because there's far, far, far too many characters for me to do this about, but I love every single one of the Five. I liked in the past series, Raven's Gate, we got to meet Matt. In Evil Star, you meet Pedro and Matt. Night Rise, we meet Jamie and Scott. I'm not sure if Matt or Pedro are in that one, I don't remember. Necropolis, we finally meet Scarlet, who is the last of the Five, and the Five all get together at the very end of that book, but there's a big tornado, and this is how this happens. So I did get to grow an attachment to every single one of the characters, and I love them all. This whole storyline was just amazing. It was such an amazing end to a series that I've followed for years. I think I was in second year or something when I read the first book, and that was 8 years ago now, I think, maybe. And I just can't believe that it's finally over.